What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Last Call. I'm your host, Dylan Clemons. Here with me, as he is every single Sunday, is Mike LaPlant. What's up, fella?
Not much, man. Just excited because we got to watch a phenomenal game today, and I don't want to spoil it because we'll recap it here shortly. But how
it was good. It was a really good day of football, man. And Yellowstone was really good, too, so it was a perfect Sunday for me, besides losing to you in our main league, probably. But we like to keep this one short and sweet, so we're going to move right along. But before we do, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel if you haven't already. And head on over to fantasysixpack.net/plans to check out our plans over there so you can join the Discord and all sorts of fun stuff over there. But jumping into the first game of the day, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Seattle Seahawks 21-16 in Munich, Germany. Man, it was a pretty good day from the Buccaneers offense. Tom Brady, 17 fantasy points. Rachaad White led the backfield in touches. Leonard Fournette went down with a hip injury, so that's something to keep an eye on, Mike. And even if he's not out for a while, I think Rachaad White needs to be picked up off your waiver wires and rostered if he's not already. Jumping over to the pass catchers in this offense. Chris Godwin caught a touchdown, Julio Jones caught a touchdown, and Mike Evans was okay with 10 PPR points. So all in all, it was a decent day for this offense. Jumping over to the Seahawks side of things, Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns, 19 fantasy points. What was weird was Ken Walker didn't do anything on the ground, but he caught 6 targets for 13 fantasy points. Tyler Lockett caught a touchdown, as did Marquise Goodwin. My biggest takeaway, man, from this game, to be honest with you, is Tampa Bay's offense seems to be back, and it seems to be gelling a little bit more with the pieces. You know, Godwin's healthy. Mike Evans is obviously healthy, so it just seems to be gelling. But then Fournette goes down with the hip injury, so everybody should keep an eye on that.
Oh yeah, go scoop off Rachaad White off waivers if you have not already.
Absolutely.
So we'll move on to our next game here. And we had the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New Orleans Saints, who was actually flexed out of the Sunday night game into this slot here. 20-10, they took him down. Really, all in all, this was an ugly game. Kenny Pickett with only 199 yards. Najee Harris, 99 yards on the ground. That was pretty much it. And then you had Deontay Johnson getting 63 yards, 4 catches. And then Jalen Warren had 3 receptions for 40 yards. And he also had 9 for 37 on the ground, finishing with 10.7 PPR points. Najee was a little banged up here, but just like we expected, Najee got majority of the work. And we kind of, hyped up Jalen Warren a little bit too much, in my opinion. But moving on to the Saints, man, it was just abysmal for Andy Dalton. 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Only had 174 yards. Same for Kamara, 26 yards on the ground. And only 22 through the air on 2 catches. 19 through the air on 3 catches. Jalen Johnson, the only guy catching the touchdown. He got 7 targets, caught 5 of them for 44 yards, finishing with 15-point fantasy points. But that was your lead guy pretty much for the whole day out of this offense, other than, Kenny Pickett. But biggest takeaway here, guys, is both these offenses stink.
At least Najee Harris got 90 yards on the ground. That's good to see.
The big disappointment was Olave, only 3 for 40.
Yes, it was. That was a disappointment. It was a great matchup for him, just didn't produce. Next game, guys, we got the Miami Dolphins taking care of business at home against the Cleveland Browns, 39-17, and this offense just keeps humming along. Tua with 3 touchdowns, Jeff Wilson a touchdown, Raheem Mostert a touchdown. This is Jeff Wilson's backfield, guys. 17 attempts to Mostert's 8. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, they all did their thing. Tyreek Hill caught a touchdown. Trent Sherfield, Alex Ingold. Man, it was just a great day for this offense. And Tua is a locked-in top 5 fantasy quarterback. Man, he's proven it week in and week out, which is weird. Unfortunately, they have their bye next week, so you got to look elsewhere. Jumping over to the Browns side of thing, Nick Chubb saved the day, scored a touchdown. He did lose a fumble, so his fantasy day was capped with 15 PPR points, but you'll take that. DPJ showing out again, man. 5 receptions, 99 yards. Moving towards a decent flex play on most weeks, man. He is getting the targets, and he's making the most of it. Amari Cooper, quiet day for him, just 6 PPR points. But yeah, man, my biggest takeaway from this Browns offense is DPJ. He's decent.
Yeah, he's definitely shown that value coming out with these shootout games that Cleveland has to throw the ball in. All right, moving on to a game I know you love watching, and I said that Justin Fields couldn't rush for 100 games every year. God damn it, he did it again. He loses the game 30-31 to the Lions, unfortunately, but he threw for 167 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 147 yards on the ground with another 2 touchdowns. This guy has 4 total touchdowns, finished with 40.4 fantasy points. Pretty sure this is now 80 points in back-to-back games. Man's on fire. Another man on fire. Yeah, another man on fire in this offense is Cole Kmet, getting 7 targets, catching 4 of them for 74 and 2 touchdowns, 23.4 fantasy points. I remember you saying that Cole.
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say Cole Kmet has 5 touchdowns in the past 3 games. You were gonna ask me who has the second most touchdowns or most.
The second most touchdowns at tight end.
That would be Cole Kmet.
Behind Travis Kelce.
Other than that, I mean, on the ground, everybody was pretty quiet. Herbert, he went out injured in the 4th quarter. Montgomery didn't do much. Mooney only had 9.7 fantasy points. But on to the Lions side of things, Jared Goff, subpar day, 236 yards, 1 touchdown. Jamal Williams led the ground on the ground, 59 rushing yards with 1 touchdown on 16 attempts, only getting about 11.9 fantasy points. And then you had DeAndre Swift, who got 6 rushing attempts for only 6 yards, and he got a touchdown to salvage a day for 7.2 fantasy points. But Jamal Williams seems to be the head guy in this backfield now, which is very strange because DeAndre Swift is very talented, man. But just as we all thought, Amon-Ra St. Brown getting the majority of the targets here, 11 of them catching 10 for 119. No score on the day, but he had 22.1 fantasy points, which is all right in my book. Biggest takeaway from this offense is, I mean, obviously it's Jamal Williams' backfield seems like moving forward, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is back to wide receiver 1 status.
Yeah, I don't think you could start Swift, man, until he shows you more than what he's doing, to be honest with you. He's just disappointing. And he didn't have an injury designation, and he's still limited, Mike, in the offense. It's weird.
It doesn't make much sense to me, but we can move on here to the next game.
We got the Chiefs beating the Jaguars 27-17, man. And the Chiefs offense, really, really good. Mahomes, 4 touchdowns, 32 fantasy points. Nothing really going on the ground, man. Travis Kelce catches a touchdown. Marquez Valdes-Scantling catches a touchdown. Kadarius Toney, good day for him, Mike. 57 yards and a touchdown as well. And Noah Gray catches the other one. Jumping over to the Jaguars side of things, they were playing down this whole game, man. Trevor Lawrence, solid day. Trevor Lawrence was a solid day, 21 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. Like I said, they were down all the game. Travis Etienne only had 11 attempts, and last week he had 28. So it was just the product of the game script. But Christian Kirk, man, back again, having a huge day. 9 catches, 105, and 2 touchdowns. Zay Jones also seeing 10 targets and catching 8 of them. But yeah, man, my biggest take, I did fail to mention Juju Smith-Schuster for the Chiefs. Went down with looked like a concussion. His hands went in the air when he went down. Hoping for the best. Man. Yeah, hoping for the best for Juju. But my biggest takeaway, man, Kadarius Toney is fun in this Chiefs offense, and it's going to be interesting as his package grows in this offense to see what he can turn into.
I just temper my expectations because he did just take that Mecole Hardman role that I thought he would, encompass. So once Mecole Hardman's back, I'm curious to see what he does moving forward then.
Sure.
Because believe it or not, the leading target leader in that offense that day was Tired Legs McKinnon with 8. So, I mean, it's a rough day in the office when you got him as the leading target leader because they really did miss Juju. So hopefully he gets a quick return here. But on to the next game here. We had the New York Giants taking down the Houston Texans 24-16. All in all, it was a pretty good day for Daniel Jones. 197 yards to the air, 2 passing touchdowns. Andy had 24 rushing yards, finishing with 18.3 fantasy points. But, man, this guy for this team, Saquon Barkley, is back. I know he's been back, but I just want to reiterate this. 35 rushing attempts. 35. The only other person I see with that many is usually Derrick Henry. For 152 yards and a touch. He finished with 22 fantasy points because he also got 1 reception for 8. And then really, I mean, Darius Slayton made the most of his touches, getting 3 of his 4 targets, 95 yards and a touchdown, and all of that was caught on pretty much one 54-yard touchdown pass. So that was fun. Takeaway for that offense, I mean, you can't start anybody but Barkley, I'm sorry. Maybe Daniel Jones.
Yep.
All right. On to the Houston Texans, man. And long neck David Mills, 319 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Just 15.8. Dameon Pierce held to no touchdowns again, 94 yards on the ground. He also got 2 of 3 targets for 28 yards, finishing out 12.2 fantasy points here.
Lost the fumble as well again.
Yes.
It's annoying, man.
Nico Collins was actually the leading target leader here, getting 10 targets, catching 5 of them for 49, and getting the touchdown, getting 15.9 fantasy points. Other than that, anybody else in this offense really stunk. Yep. Brandon Cooks, I mean, he did have a touchdown that got called back, but which could have definitely salvaged his day. That's my big takeaway is, man, Brandon Cooks seemed to get more involved this week. Hopefully this continues. I like Collins moving forward as well.
No doubt. Next game, guys, we got the Tennessee Titans in a slobber knocker of a matchup, beating Denver 17-10. The Titans offensive side of things, Tannehill comes back, throws 2 touchdowns, 19 fantasy points. Big story here was Derrick Henry not doing anything. 19 attempts for 53 yards, caught 2 of his targets. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine catches both touchdowns from Ryan Tannehill, man, and he has 119 yards. Maybe he's a name to keep an eye on, but probably not. And also Treylon Burks came back off of IR. Jumping over to the Broncos side of things, Russell Wilson throws 1 touchdown, 1 interception, pedestrian day, 15 fantasy points. Latavius Murray led the backfield in attempts with 9, Gordon with 7, Chase Edmonds only 2, man. Not much going on in that backfield. That's good for fantasy. But what was nice to see was Courtland Sutton. Unfortunately, Jerry Jeudy went down with an injury earlier in this game, so keep an eye on that. But Sutton saw 11 targets, 6 receptions for 66 yards. And then Virgil caught the touchdown. My biggest takeaway, man, is, and I've said this in previous episodes, Mike, I don't know if it was on this or one of the other live streams that we do or whatever, but Courtland Sutton's much better when Jerry Jeudy's not on the field and he produces more. And if Jeudy's out a couple weeks, I'm more confident in Courtland Sutton moving forward.
I mean, either way, only 1 wide receiver out of this offense is startable on a week-to-week basis. That's my hot take. Moving on to the next game. And this was the game of the week I was referring to. Guys, this game I thought was over like 5 different times. It was the Minnesota Vikings winning against the Buffalo Bills 33-30. And this was in overtime. This was the first of 2 overtime games this week. And man, was this a freaking thriller. Just quick recap, if you guys didn't see it. With, about 40 seconds left in the game, the Vikings failed on a 4th and goal conversion by inches. We're talking inches on a QB sneak by Kirk Cousins. Then the Bills came in. Josh Allen fumbles the snap. Vikings recover it for a touchdown to take the lead. Then the Bills go down and score a field goal. And then Justin Jefferson just goes off. He was the man of the day, catching 10 of his 16 targets here for 193 yards, 1 touchdown, and keeping the Vikings' hopes alive with that major 4th down conversion. I know you're thinking of that catch too, Dylan. That was fun. Other than him, it was just Dalvin Cook, 14 rushing attempts for 119 yards, 1 touchdown, but it was really salvaged on an 81-yard touchdown run. But all in all, I mean, Cook with 20.6, Justin Jefferson with 35.3, studs.
Yep.
Moving on to the Bills here. Josh Allen with 330 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks that were just crucial in this loss.
Elbow seems to be fine, though.
Yeah, true that. His legs are phenomenal as well. Had 84 rushing yards, finished with 21.6 fantasy points. Devin Singletary getting 13 attempts for 47 yards. Lost a fumble, but got 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, it's always good in the book when you get more touchdowns than fumbles in a game. Finished with, where are you? Finished with 15.7 fantasy points here. Stephon Diggs, good day at the office, 12 for 128. No touchdowns, 24.8. And then Gabe Davis, 6 for 93 and a touchdown, 21.3. All in all, this was a great game for fantasy, a great game for NFL, and probably nomination for Game of the Year.
Great day for Gabe Davis fans, man.
But I would say better day for Justin Jefferson fans.
Yeah, no doubt.
Great day for just fantasy football, man.
Next game, guys, we got the Indianapolis Colts winning 25-20 over the Las Vegas Mess Raiders. Man, it's gross over there. And we thought it was bad in Indy. Jeff Saturday coached his first game after not coaching in anything but high school. Gets his first win, man. Matt Ryan's surprise start. 1 touchdown, 22 fantasy points. But the story of this offense, man, Jonathan Taylor's back. 22 attempts, 147 yards, and a touchdown. And he finished with 24 fantasy points. Great day from the consensus #1 pick. Paris Campbell catches a touchdown as well, staying relevant. And Michael Pittman, 7 receptions for 53 yards. Jumping over to the Raiders, Derek Carr, 2 touchdowns, 18 fantasy points. Decent. Josh Jacobs finds the end zone. He has another good day, 22.6 fantasy points. And Devontae Adams, huge day, man, catching a touchdown. 126 yards on 9 catches, and Foster Moreau catches a touchdown as well. My biggest takeaway is Raiders are awful. Josh Jacobs is good at fantasy this year. And Foster Moreau, he's one of those streaming tight ends, man, with Darren Waller placed on IR.
Yeah, he probably would have had more if he didn't get knocked out with an injury for a little bit there. Biggest takeaway here is Jeff Saturday knows how to lead men. Moving on to the next game. Moving on to the next game. Rams lose to the Cardinals. It's a shame Kyler Murray didn't get this win because, man, he needed it for his morale. But the Cardinals win 27-17. Colt McCoy comes in, throws out no interception game, 238 yards, 1 touchdown. James Conner gets 2 touchdowns on the ground, 21 attempts for 69 yards. All in all, 23.6 fantasy points. And then just another days of the office for these 2 receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, 10 for 98, 19.8 fantasy points. And then Rondale Moore becoming a name, 9 for 94, 18.4 fantasy points. Zach Ertz unfortunately went down with a knee injury. It looks like might be out a couple weeks here, guys. So keep an eye out for Trey McBride because the offense loves to use this tight ends. On to the Rams here. Matthew Stafford was out as well. James Wolford got the start. Had 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 212 yards. All in all, we didn't get many rushing attempts here. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson both had 6 rushing attempts. Cam Akers, 22 yards. Henderson, 21. But Henderson managed to get into the end zone with 1 touchdown, finished with 10.2 fantasy points, and most importantly, more than Pat Freiermuth. And then because of the big news to Kupp injury, for Kupp injury, Tyler Higbee led this team in targets, catching all 8 of them for 73 yards. No touchdowns, but 15.3 fantasy points. Other than that, man, just prayers up for Kupp. I did get news that he did avoid a major injury, but still never good to see this man going down.
Yeah, definitely not. Not good for fantasy football, man. Not good for the Rams. Not good for anything. But our last game, man, it was a great one, too. I know you're probably happy. Packers win 31-28. Excuse me. Aaron Rodgers, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions today, 19 fantasy points. We got Aaron Jones having a great day, 24 attempts, 138 yards, 1 touchdown. And Christian Watson breakout, 4 catches, 107, 3 touchdowns. One was a bomb that he actually caught. I know, weird. But my biggest takeaway from this offense, man, they moved to the ground and pound system. That's what it's going to be. That's what they're going to live and die by now. Aaron Rodgers with only 20 pass attempts, man. Interesting.
Starting into the Bears offense in the beginning of the season.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. I just didn't say it. Jumping over to the Cowboys side of things, Dak Prescott threw 3 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. Greg Olsen put it on the receivers, but one of those had me scratching my head. 21 fantasy points. Tony Pollard, 115 yards on the ground, man. 1 touchdown, 18 fantasy points. He's blowing up. I'm sorry, he actually finished with 21.8. And then CeeDee Lamb is the guy that we thought we were going to get at the beginning of the year, man. He saw 15 targets, Mike, caught 11 of them. 2 touchdowns. He was just awesome in this game. He wasn't as good as Jefferson was early in the day, but he was still really good.
Absolutely. Getting 2 touchdowns is always a good day. Don't forget about Dalton Schultz getting a touchdown here because that's always important for tight ends.
Yes, he did. And Michael Gallup also saw 7 targets, but only catching 4 of them for 35 yards. But Tony Pollard, man, Zeke was out again. He's my biggest takeaway. he might have took the backfield now, and I think when Zeke gets back, Tony Pollard might even out-touch him because behind CeeDee Lamb, he's their second best playmaker behind Lamb.
All I can say is just like what Tony Pollard said. If they call it, he'll haul it, man, and he is hauling it right now with Zeke out. I still think Zeke gets majority of the touches because Jerry Jones loves his ass, but Tony Pollard's making a case to get more work here.
He very all right, guys, good, man. But yeah, go ahead. Take us up.
I was gonna say that wraps us up, guys. I mean, we like to keep it short and sweet as much as possible, even though this was 20 minutes. You know, we didn't have six teams on bye this week. But make sure you check out all of our work here at fantasy6pack.net, and make sure you get in on those plans if you still need some help for the rest of the season getting into your playoffs, guys. It's approaching here shortly. fantasy6pack.net, so check those out. Make sure you like and subscribe. It's underneath us. Please, guys, we really do appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And make sure you comment on the video. We always want to hear what you guys think. But other than that, for Dylan, I'm Mike. Everyone, have a good one.